Step back in time on Route 66 into the Wild West. This ain't no F Troop mirage, folks. This is Fort Courage, abandoned and baking under the Arizona sun. Follow me as we explore this forgotten outpost, if you've got the guts. So this little town on Route 66, right? And unlike a lot of the other towns along that road, it never got really big. It was just kind of a small place with a trading post, a gas station, and a little grocery store. That's what it was. The main place they used to call Mound Trading Post. It even had a town's post office inside from 1924 to about 1946. But then in 1958, they built Interstate 40, and that kind of killed the old US Highway 66 or Route 66. And you know how everybody wanted to drive faster on the new highway, and 2 years later, the Mound Trading Post shut down. Now this is the Amico gas station. Just kind of walking around. I mean, it's just I don't know. Seeing a past of Route 66 is kind of intriguing. I mean, there's so much on Route 66 that's active and everything, but some of the abandoned stuff is pretty unique too. You'll see a little later on, they actually have a whole fort here that was actually built up. This is just kind of the remains of the gas station. A lot of graffiti, which I'm not big on, but unfortunately it kind of is what it is. Now, this is the pancake house that they had here. And so basically this was all rebuilt. The innermost parts in 1960, someone built a brand new trading post on the same spot. And this is where they called it Fort Courage, just like the old TV show F Troop. It's pretty much kind of a knockoff, but hey, it works. And it was designed to look like the fort on the show, which is kind of cool. New place had everything from a coffee shop to a restaurant, gas station, grocery store, and a gift shop. And of course, the trading post. They sold all kinds of things, Native American stuff like jewelry, rugs, souvenirs. They even had motel rooms, a place for trailers, and a campground. And you can see a lot of the remains here of a lot of the stuff. But like a lot of things, it didn't last. Unfortunately, by 2010, the motel rooms had been turned into apartments, and there were old cars parked everywhere. And then by 2014, the whole place was just closed down for good. So now it's just kind of just an abandoned traction on Route 66. Kind of sad, but it's also a piece of history. Kind of just faded away, but it's still here for us to look at. I mean, here you can kind of, through the broken glass, see a little bit of, I don't know, I figure this had to be part of the trading post or something in there. Not quite sure what, but I don't know, just kind of exploring on the outside. I never go into buildings or anything like that, but just looking around, and it's really unique in what you find out here. I mean, that, Route 66, part of the abandoned and forgotten places on Route 66 are some of the beauty of it too. I mean, where else are you going to find a life-size fort? It might be bigger than life-size. I mean, we're going to walk up here and I want to show you the fort part, which is, I think, the coolest part. They did have a fire that burned down a fair amount of it, one of the other towers, but they were able to save one of them. And F Troop was actually what it was based off of. That was a show that was 1965 to 1967. This is the neatest part, I think. Now, there's one of the buildings that burned down during the fire they had. It had some arson a while back. But there is one tower remaining. Some of the fencing's fallen down. But there's a charm to it. It's just kind of a feeling. You're walking around. It's kind of like you're walking into the past a little bit. This is some of the stuff that's like Americana. I mean, where else are you going to be able to check out an abandoned fort? It just gets out front and take a look at it. I mean, that thing's huge. I don't know how tall it is, but that thing's at least 40 foot tall. And this is some of the stuff that's on Route 66. There were all these attractions, roadside attractions, the people. That's part of the charm of this whole place. And I just really enjoy enjoy going up and down. I own a store in Seligman, like I said, over there on Route 66. But I just love discovering all these other places to see. I mean, this thing is huge. Look at that tree. I mean, there's the doorway. The doorway's got to be 6.5 feet tall. And look how tall this building is when you compare it. It's huge. I mean, could you imagine yourself as a kid going to the top of that, looking out over everything? I mean, you'd feel like you're in a Wild West movie. And that's what I love about US Highway 66 or Route 66. There's beauty in what's available. There's tons of roadside attractions, a lot of stuff to see, but there's also some of the abandoned parts, and you need to get out there and see them. They may not be around forever. I mean, you can see this fence was up about a year ago or two. It was fine. Now it's down, unfortunately, but it's also America. It's really kind of what American travel is all about. This is looks like one more time we'll take a look. Look at this cloud zone, just beautiful. But I'm always just walking around trying to see what I could discover. This is, I think this would be like a Hogan, I think they would call it. And it's a shame that there's graffiti and different things, but I can still appreciate what's here, what this thing was like. They were probably they probably had selling blankets, trinkets, and all sorts of fun stuff out here. But that was the charm. You never knew the next stop when you were on Route 66.